Hey everyone, Livy here, back with another video, and we are finally, finally into the last part of my tarot collection video series. These are, so part 5, all these decks are, I will say they've been newer to my collection, especially in the past 6 months or so. And another thing about these decks is that they're all in this bin that I have that's next to my main tarot structure. Another thing to say about the decks that we're going to see today is that this video has, I think, 2 decks less than the other videos. It's just, again, it's the end of my collection kind of thing. And I should also note that these decks are not, like, they're not purgatory bin decks, right? So these are decks that I would consider actually a part of my collection, actually trying to use them. They're not in purgatory or on the way out. And it's also, of course, not including any decks that were in my mini, pocket size, or odd shaped deck video, because these are actually standard tarot size. So we're going to get into it, I guess, with the first deck I have to show for today, which is this one. This is the Lover's Path Tarot, mass market deck by US Games. It's been around a little while. This is by Chris Walder. This version that I have comes in this tuck box. Has a little white book in there. This deck is interesting. Okay, so these are the backs, which I'm actually obsessed with. This kind of matches that, which is funny. And it's just so cute. This deck is a little wider though. So this is basically oracle size of a tarot. So if you have smaller hands like me, as you can see, look, my finger doesn't, it doesn't even reach the full thing. So it's a little hard for me to get my fingers around, right? But I do like the look of this one. So this tarot deck, for those who haven't seen this or haven't seen this much, this is a tarot deck that basically takes famous, fictional or actual, like, couplings, historical couplings, and shows them off, kind of. Each of the suits kind of goes through a certain couple's journey, but the majors show, like, specific couples. Like, this is Cupid and Psyche. Prince of Cups, Tristan. So I think the cups are all about Tristan's story, is what it was, is Isolde, Mark. And then wands have a different one, swords have a different one, etc., etc. I was interested in this deck because it seemed like a good love deck. Like, this would be good for people who want to do more relationship style readings, but I do need to dive a little bit into some of these figures because I don't remember everybody. There's a lot of the couples I recognize, like the whole Tristan and Isolde. Like, I know their story. Odysseus, Penelope, you know, Eurydice and Orpheus. Like, some of these are more obvious. So Cupid, Eros. So this is like Cupid's journey thing. Venus. See, some of these are more familiar, but some of these are not. And also I thought about putting this deck. So here's another funny thing. I recently did a loveliest decks video, and I was almost tempted to talk about this one as like a romantic dreamy deck. But here's the funny thing. Not all these couples are actually, I mean, people would argue that they're lovers, of course, but I wouldn't necessarily call them romantic, because some of these couples are actually incredibly tragic. Even Cleopatra and Caesar, right? They came to an untimely end. Venus and Vulcan, right? Venus, you know, cheating on Vulcan because she wants to be with, you know, Mars. So it's like Siegfried, you know, it's not all these are built the same. Wotan, which is Odin, you know. So it's just, that's why I didn't include it in that video, but I almost did. Because I got this deck, again, to do more romantic-based readings. But Anyways, I do like the cardstock. It is, again, a little bit on the thicker side, so just be aware if you have smaller hands like me. But other than that, it does shuffle okay. It just can get a little, again, can get a little hard to grip. But other than that, I think this is an interesting one. I do think I need to deep dive a little bit more into it, but yeah, this is the Lover's Path Tarot, and yeah, I'm going to move on to the next deck. Okay, next up, we have this chunky deck, which is, by the way, this was a Kickstarter. Oh, the other one, of course, was mass market. This is indie. This is a Children of Ostara Tarot. This is by Zia Hunt. She's the same creator who did the Children of Litha Tarot. Opens up like this. There's a little poem in here. These are the cards. Oh, there's a chunky guidebook in there too. Oop, a certificate of authenticity. All that jazz. Move that out of the way. Has beautiful black edging. And then these are the backs. I think these backs are the same actually as the Children of Litha though. So it's like they kind of match up if you want to make like one giant mega deck, I think is the idea. And I will say, okay, I'm not 100% a fan of this. So the cardstock is rose petal, but it's that very sticky rose petal. So it is a little hard in that way. And the card's also very thick. So they don't bend very much. So if you were a riffle shuffler, I would say probably don't riffle shuffle this deck. So those are just a couple things I want to get out of the way. But the Children of Ostara Tarot looks very beautiful. Have not worked with this one yet though. The minors, as you can see, are a little more pippish in nature. I think some of these flowers and things would probably match, make sense. I guess I would have to read more of the guidebook because I don't 100% know the meaning, but they look very beautiful and the backgrounds are more scenic, so it doesn't look as boring by the fact that the minors are pips. As you can see, these are all like pips in the minors, but then you get like majors that look like this and they're so beautiful. And then court cards, of course, that are also more detailed. I think this deck is really beautiful. I like that this one's more plant-based, and I liked that it's not as gruesome looking. I think that's one of the reasons why, even though I love her artwork, it's one of the reasons why I never got the Children of Litha Tarot. There's like a couple of cards in that one that are not my cup of tea, but this one is much nicer, more balanced in my opinion. Didn't look as too much for me or something. So yeah, this one is pretty nice looking. I plan to use this deck, I think it's in April, so I haven't really, again, I have not really used this yet. I was waiting for the right time of year, but I will be using it in April. It is, again, beautiful. Like, I'll show you how it's like, see how they like if I go like this, you can see that they kind of stick a little bit more together. They're not as, they don't break apart as easy. Otherwise, I have to do like this trick where you like move your hand along the thing like that. And it kind of helps unstick rose petal just for a little bit. See, it makes it slightly easier to shuffle. But doing that even is temporary. So it doesn't like stay that way, unfortunately. But nonetheless, it is standard tarot size. Not too bad. It is a little chunky though. See, my finger still can't quite get over it. But other than that, it is beautiful, and I am excited to eventually use this. So yeah, that is the Children of Ostara Tarot. Okay, next up we have this deck, another Kickstarter deck. This is the Victorian Fairy Tarot by Linnea Weatherstone and Carrie Parrish. Art by Gary A. Limbencott. This is the indie run of this deck. This deck, once upon a time, used to be mass market through Llewellyn. I will say, okay, so this is the guidebook. Very fancy. I feel like most of the production quality of this went really into this guidebook and making it look fantastic. This guidebook is fantastic. By looks, even some of the write-ups, the way everything's designed, I would say this is more worth it. The deck itself, I've talked about this in my video I did when I was unboxing and figuring this out. This not very good box. The cardstock, not the greatest. I mean, this cardstock itself is fine, but it's gilding. I've already mentioned, I'm not going to go too in-depth into it, but this gilding is quite possibly the worst gilding of any deck I have. I'm just being honest here. It is. As you can see, it's still stuck together, even though I've already tried to pry it apart. It just does not want to unclump. But anyways, this deck leans also a little yellow for those who don't like it. Some of the picture quality of this too is a little fuzzy in parts. Like sometimes I can't tell what it's depicting. Like I can, but then like it just looks like it's slightly fuzzed over. Otherwise, it is beautiful. Like the other colors that you see when they're not more yellow toned, like this one, very nice. But I don't know. I'm going to have to see how I like this one. I think I have it planned for April maybe, but I don't know. I'm not going to harp too much onto this one, but in that video, I talked about a lot of the issues you could see firsthand. It was also just a little disappointing because it had a long wait on Kickstarter only for the quality to be like this. So it is what it is now, but yeah, I don't want to spend more time on this. But anyways, this is a Victorian Fairy Tarot, the indie run of this deck. Okay, next up, I have this deck. This is the Ephemeral Tarot. It is by, if you can see here, Leslie Patterson Marks. This is another indie deck. I got this on Etsy. This is the box, which is very fun. Little pricier for this one. This is a collage deck, but it's a little pricier just so you know, right, what you're getting into. These are the backs of the deck. This is probably my least favorite thing about this deck. I don't really care for these backs. There's a guidebook in here. Chunky, nice. Backs again. Cardstock's okay. Good size. Thinner. Would be easy to riffle shuffle. And these are the cards. This deck, how do I explain this? This deck basically vaguely reminds me of the Guided Hand Tarot. I feel like it's like a sibling, but there are two different creators. And I say it's a sibling because the way that the collage work and stuff is done, mixed with other elements, feels very much like the Guided Hand Tarot. So they feel very similar, but I like how this is done. Truthfully, I have not worked with this deck yet. There is some renamings, like they have, instead of swords, they have the feathers here, circles. I'm trying to remember if there's some other ones. The wands are still wands. I don't know if the cups are still the same. I'm only seeing like, Oh, this is supposed to be like the 10, but it doesn't say if it's like 10 of cups still. I'd have to look in the guidebook. I don't remember. There's some things that have been changed around. Some of the names of the court cards have also been changed. Oh, I think it is still cups. Okay, so cups and wands are still the same, but they changed the pentacles to circles and feathers for the swords. See what I mean? There's like crafted elements in here, but then there's also collage work. It's a really fun one, but I have not worked with this deck yet. I'm really curious to see if I'll like this one as much as I do the Guided Hand Tarot. But I like that this deck feels old school. I like that this deck kind of reminds me of, yeah, like that other ephemeral vintage time, like 60s, 70s kind of vibe is what I get from this one. But yeah, I need to kind of work with it. I don't remember when I put for this. I think it's May. This year I'll be working with this deck in May. So we'll see when it gets closer to that time if I really enjoy it. But otherwise, I think this one's fun. I liked that it reminded me of the Guided Hand. in style. But yes, just be aware it is a little pricey. So really think about if you'd want this one, you know, is all I can say, especially if you have a lot of collage decks. But I think this one's a cool one. And so yeah, this is the Ephemeral Tarot. Okay, next up we have this deck. I don't think I showed this, right? I don't know why I'm second guessing if I showed this deck already or not. I don't know. Anyways, this is a Heartwood Tarot. This is a Three Trees Tarot deck. This is by Stephanie Burrows and Adam Ohlers. This is the box. Great production quality as usual. And this is the deck. Okay. Has these two. As usual, they have like these two extra cards. And these are the backs, which are very, very cute. But I have to say, one thing I want to be straight up honest about is this deck is actually very close to going into my purgatory because, as you can see, you can probably tell by my finger, I can barely get my hands around this deck. Unfortunately, it's very chunky, and so it's just too hard for me to work with, and it kind of hurts my hands. The cardstock's a little bit on the thicker side, so that's why it might be going into purgatory unless they eventually do a smaller size of this. I don't know. But anyways, despite that, I do love the artwork of this deck. I love Adam Ohlers' art. I love that it's borderless. I love how moody and gloomy it is. How it shows this interesting abandoned manor house, and there's these cute little animals that are inside with it, the little mouse that's on their journey. I like the whole theme of this deck. I love it. But I just wish that this deck was in their mini size, right? The one that I showed for Oak, Ash, and Thorn. That size is perfect. Or even Thistledown, of just slightly thinner. This size, which I know is their standard tarot, it's just too big for me. I don't know if anybody else with small hands also discovered they had that problem with their decks, but this one is just too big. Unfortunately, I do also have their Smoke, Ash, and Embers deck in my purgatory too, because again, size issue. It's literally just down to size issue. It's not the artwork or anything like that. I just cannot do the size. So this might go in purgatory. I don't know. I might try to use it again. I'm really debating because I really do like the art on this one. It's just, I don't know if I can wield it very much. And when a deck is harder for you to wield, it's just not as fun of an experience. Like even trying to shuffle like this, it hurts and strains my hand. So it's harder. But for now, it's in my collection. But I am debating if this one is going to go into purgatory. Just because it's I mean, I can shuffle, as you can see. It just hurts because it strains my hand. See, I have to like do outward. And just because it's like bigger. But yeah, it's a small gripe. One day, Stephanie has said that eventually they do want to make like the mini sizes of all their decks. So maybe in the future I'll be able to get one of those and then pass this version along to somebody who doesn't have as small of hands as me. But for now, I don't know. I'm debating the fate of this because it is beautiful. But this is Heartwood and in deck number 5 of Three Trees Tarot. Okay, next up, just like Three Trees Tarot, which was an indie deck. I guess the past couple ones have been indie, huh? This is another indie deck. This was a recent Kickstarter. And this is the Magic Pantry Tarot. This is by Cedar McLeod. There's also this guidebook, right? There's a guidebook and it explains more of the stuff in here. Very cool. It even came with this bag, so that was a really cool Kickstarter. But yeah, it came with this bag. I don't remember if I paid extra for the bag, but it came with that. Otherwise, it has just this tuck box, which is like gingham style, like a picnic basket, or not picnic basket, big picnic table. And this is, these are the backs, same gingham. These are the fronts, which are adorable. The cardstock is a little bit on the smoother gloss side, but it's not a high gloss. Not bad. I actually kind of like it. And it bends pretty well. So, I don't know. I kind of like this cardstock. But I am especially obsessed with the artwork of this deck. So, as if you didn't know, this is a food drink deck made with watercolor imagery. It is beautiful. I think a lot of the depictions and things of this deck are incredibly smart. It's all basically plants and fruits mostly. I think there's a couple things that are not, like this one's condiments. But it's supposed to be very vegetarian friendly. See, they even have 2 Fool cards. So if you prefer tofu over eggs, you know, kind of thing, if you want to be more vegan. But I think this deck is so beautiful. I love some of the choices in here. I haven't really worked with this one yet either, but I have plans to work with this. I can't remember if I put it as May or June. It gives me very summer vibes. And I got this deck like later than that season, so I didn't really have time to work with it in the season I think this deck more goes with. But look at this. The 8 of Pentacles and corn. She's like making the masa. That's so beautiful. See, that's the other thing about Cedar too. They're really good about having diversity shown in their decks also. So even something as simple as a plant deck just has such diversity of bodies, of figures, of disability. And so I think they're a really amazing creator in that way. So I highly recommend this one. If you were looking for a food deck and you just didn't know which one yet, I think this could be a good fit for you. We're pretty good in like food decks nowadays. There are some other ones like the Gourmet Tarot, I know, is one that a lot of people like, but that one's more anime looking depictions of food. There's also the Pasta Tarot that I know a lot of people like. But yeah, I don't know. I just think this one's the right one for me. It has a slight, I think my deck got slightly bowed just because the way it was sitting. I don't think that's like because of the deck itself. When I have it situated, it's just not, it's not the greatest of pilings, but yeah. Anyways, not important. The deck is, and I think it's a fun one. So highly, highly recommend this. If you like food decks, this is the Magic Pantry Tarot. Okay, we still have some more decks to go, so it's time to kind of get through this. This deck, which is now in this bag, okay? I used to use this bag for the deck I'm going to show after this one, but I moved it because it needed a bigger bag. So in this bag, we actually have this one. This is the Every Little Thing You Do Is Magic Tarot. And the reason why I put it in this bag too was because it came with a box that was like one of those open close things that's very easy to flop around and like fall everywhere and get fucked up, to be honest. So I took it out and put it in the bag. These are the backs of this one. And this deck will be familiar to quite a few of you if you've been around at least to see my Tarot Advent stuff. I use this deck for Tarot Advent. It's bigger. For sure, it is Oracle size. As you can see, I have smaller hands, and yeah, it doesn't even fully get around. So it is a little hard to use this one too. But somehow I've made it work kind of. Here, I'm going to just shuffle it up so you guys can see, but it works. It somehow still works. The cardstock's okay. Bends kind of well, so that's okay too. It's a weird, I don't know if you guys can see that in the light. It has a slight texture to it, but it's not bad. I don't know. It's okay of a cardstock. But anyways, that's not what's important about this deck. What I like about this deck, not just it's like fun, funky borders, but I like that this is a collage deck that's a little bit different. As you can see, it has mostly animals in it, so it's like mostly an animal deck, but then it has like some cool things like these tools here. It's very different. There's not really that many people. If anything, there's like hands somewhat, but not really people in this deck. And so I just think it's so cool and original and different. I really got to understand this deck and look at it best when I worked with it for Tarot Advent. So that was a really fun time. I am going to use this deck, actually use it instead of just like deep diving it in May of this year. So I am excited for that, to do some more real readings with this deck. Another unique point of this deck, if you didn't know, this guidebook here is like fantastic. Each card comes not only with like the meaning, there's an image of it here. There's a stone that goes with the card. And then it has a song, literally a song that goes with each card. And then some scent ideas. So really cool concept, really unique deck. That's why it's called Every Little Thing You Do Is Magic. It's very musical inclined. I've listened to the playlist for this deck. All the songs are really good. So I do recommend this one if you like decks that are doing something a little bit different and unique, right? A little bit more off the beaten path. So if you like those kind of decks, this could be for you. Again, be aware though, if you have smaller hands like me, it is a little chunkier. So sometimes it is a little unwieldy to use, but I'm kind of managing the same way I kind of do with the Lioness Oracle Tarot, because it is like Oracle size, but otherwise it's okay enough, but it is a little hard. But anyways, this is the Every Little Thing You Do Is Magic Tarot, and I find this one so fun. Okay, next up, we have this deck, which used to be in the other bag that you saw for Every Little Thing You Do Is Magic, which, by the way, that deck was mass market. This deck is also mass market, but this deck in this big bag is this one. This is the Nova Witch Tarot. This is actually, I believe, a Blue Angel deck. But you can get this deck, interestingly, on both Llewellyn website or the US Games website. So just be aware. These are the backs for this deck. And I have to say, this is another deck that if you have smaller hands, this might be a bit of a challenge for you. Because, as you can see, this deck is huge. It is longer than standard tarot size. But it's not, you know, it's not a mini, so I didn't include that in that, right? It's very big. Despite that, there's something about this deck, despite all that I really like. It's not a deck in any way, shape, or form that I think most people would think I would like, because this deck kind of skews in a more limited color palette. I don't usually like decks that are just black and white. Obviously, though, this one is not. There's shades of blues, yellows, reds, greens in between with this deck, as well as having the black and white. So it's a little bit different, but it also skews a little young, a little modern. This is not typically the type of deck I would go for, but there was something about this artwork that just kept calling out to me. So I decided to try it out, and I'm kind of glad I did. This tower is like really freaking cool too. I just really like it. So this one's a little different. Yeah, definitely a little different, but I think it's really cool. And I did use this a little bit in December of this past year, but I will probably be using it. I think I put it again for December. I don't know. It definitely gives me those vibes, more wintry vibes, but we'll see. And just so you guys know, or can see for yourself, I can't, as you can see, look at my hands. My poor hands cannot like comfortably reach around that. When I do shuffle this one, I do have to go this way, and it is a disaster. I don't like it as much. I would, if I was actually good at it, I think I would micro trim this deck, but at the same time, it's so hard because I like the border, so I don't want to have to do that. But it's just it is a little hard to use. So that's unfortunate, but I do like the style of this one. So I guess I'm attempting it for now. But this is a Nova Witch Tarot. And if you want a deck that maybe will challenge you, I do recommend trying to give this one a chance. Okay, this is the penultimate deck that I have to show today. Finally, we have the Botan Tarot by A. Miyako M. Or A.M. Miyako, I don't remember particularly. This is the second edition of this deck. Looks like this. Folds out like that. There's a simple guidebook in here. It even says it's the second edition. When I bought this deck too, this is a very simple guidebook in here. But when I bought it, there's an option to do a digital, and the digital goes a little more in depth with the story. And so I decided to buy that. So I do have that, just so you know. This deck, by the way, it's not completely, so the second edition is not completely out of print. The creator is choosing to do a limited print run, like limited amount of going out at once. So you can still find this version, I believe. I'm pretty sure she's still selling it. Anyways, this version, the second edition, has these beautiful dark, I would almost say they're like almost navy blue edges, right? Like matte edging. These are the backs that are stunning. This deck is on a linen cardstock. You guys, I don't know if the light will pick it up right now. I had to change my lighting a little bit because it was looking a little silly. But it's on a linen. It is a little bit on the thicker side, but it looks like you could still bend it enough. You maybe will be okay riffling this. I don't know. I don't riffle. I overhand. But anyways, this deck is beautiful. All done in watercolor work. It's inspired by Japanese mythology with some liberties, I think, from the creator. It is freaking beautiful. I like it. It is pippy, as you can see in the minors, but the characters and stuff depicted, especially in the digital guidebook, are really nice to like kind of deep dive and know more. Transparently, okay, this deck was on it was one of my unicorn decks for the longest time, so I am glad it came back in print. But I have not used this deck yet, and I think the reason is because this deck gives me very strong spring vibes, so I'm kind of waiting until springtime to use it. I'm pretty sure I put that I'm going to be using this deck in April, so April will be the time to work with this deck more. But I do think it's beautiful. I love the people that are drawn. Even this hanged one is so interesting. But it's a really beautiful deck. I know this is one that's been on a lot of people's wish lists and such. It was also a unicorn deck for a lot of people if you didn't manage to get the first edition. But now the second edition exists. Follow the creator on Instagram, because that's when you'll find out when she's doing more print runs of the second edition, because they are happening. Like, you don't have to like go crazy. It's not going out of print right now or anything like that I know of. You just have to keep an eye out. I managed to snag it though ahead of time. I was following the creator because, again, this was a unicorn deck for me. And so I was able to see, oh shit, it was coming back. And so I jumped on it when I did. And I'm glad I did, because, again, the artwork is so beautiful. And I'm just so curious to see how well this reads for me. But this is, oh, and I also, by the way, what I also love about this creator, she's actually local. She literally lives in the same city as me. So that's wild. I don't think it took very long for me to get the deck because of that. Like, I probably was one of the first people to get the second edition. But anyways, this is the Botan Tarot. Cannot recommend it enough. A lot of people like this one. And yeah, I'm just going to kind of end it here and move on to the last deck for this video. Okay, guys, the final deck of this video, the final deck that's a part of my main tarot collection, that's not one of my minis and all that jazz. We have here the This Might Hurt tarot deck. This is specifically the indie edition. I got this used. Botan, of course, was also indie, if I didn't mention that. But this deck is by Isabella Rotman. This deck, as you know now, is, what's it called? It's mass market now, right? So you can get a mass market version. But the reason why I personally went out of my way to find a used copy of this deck as indie. Oh, and there's a guidebook. The reason why I went out of my way to get a used copy of the indie is because I'm not a fan of Liminal 11's high gloss cardstock. Just straight up, I'm not. And part of tarot is the sensual experience, how everything feels sensory wise. So these are the backs of the indie run. They were black instead. I believe the mass market is blue. The cardstock is different, of course, too. This is a matte, smooth matte cardstock. Very nice. It is a little on the thicker side. I don't think I would riffle shuffle this, especially because the gilding, as you can see here. This version of the indie, because there was a different one that had holographic edging, like silver. This one is like the black hollow. Yeah, it makes it thick, right? But same deck, still beautiful. The indie was just slightly, again, because the cardstock's not the glossy, it's slightly muted, but not, I don't even think it is. I don't know. I think this deck is beautiful. Cards like this one was why I was very hesitant on getting the deck originally, because I'm not a fan of high nudity, and this deck doesn't care. And also this card, I'm not a fan of that. That's probably my least favorite. Certain things with that I just didn't care for as much, but I think this is a good deck to read with for others. The readings I have done with this deck have been very interesting. This is a very swords, I would say, if I had to gauge the energy of this deck, I would say it's very swords and it's very earthy. You could say maybe cups too, but I get mostly swords and like air and earth vibes from this deck. So it's very interesting. Very grounded, but it wants to tell you things like it is. I think it is beautiful. Again, and this is another one, like I wasn't sure, you know, I just don't, certain depictions of nudity, I don't know. Also because this deck is very modern. There is some, it gets kind of dystopian vibes, but it is very modern. It is diverse though, which is why I was interested. And I do think this would be a great deck to read with for other people. Even this devil I'm not as much of a fan of, but again, I wanted to give this deck a shot, and I decided if I was going to give this deck a shot, I wanted the indie version of this deck and not the mass market. So that's why I went with this. Also because if I'm going to shuffle this deck, okay, cardstock wise, it's okay. Standard tarot, it can fit for the most part, except this finger. I can fit my other hands around it, so it's easy to shuffle. Liminal 11s would not have been so. It would not have been as easy to shuffle for me. I already knew that off the bat, so that's why I got an indie version of this deck, and I'm glad that I have it. But anyways, if you watched this whole collection, right, this whole collection for tarot video that I have done so far, I must say thank you so much for watching. I am going to run through my oracles after this now, but oof. It's just been a lot. It's a lot to sit through your whole collection and to talk about them and to say why you got them, and yeah, a lot of cards. But anyways, again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys all again next time. Bye.